Hello, Austin, Texas. Welcome to the Home Team 512, where we bring real estate and money together for your education and entertainment. This segment will be brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. You can reach out to us at 855-299-HOME or loans, that's plural, loansfromtroy.com. If you have any other questions, you can also email me at troy.manella@snmc.com. So today we have a superstar in our midst, Kyle Foffey. Kyle, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Kyle, how long have you been working in the Austin area real estate?
15 years.
15 years.
15 years, yeah. 2010. Just got my broker's license.
Very nice. Congratulations.
It was a long time coming. Should have gotten a long time ago, but finally took the time out of all the work that I do to get that done.
Yeah, they don't mess around with that. They make you earn that one. You know, you can be a realtor, but to be a broker, you have to earn that one. Yeah. So congratulations on that. You know, in Austin, I mean, you're thinking that's 2010-ish. And so the market has changed dramatically since then. What are you seeing right now as the most important thing in the market?
You know, there's a lot of inventory in the market right now, more than there's been for a long time. I think that the sellers that want to sell just need to be realistic about their pricing and really stage their home and make sure they present their home as best they can. Those homes are selling quick.
Yeah, right.
And buyers, I think that a lot are just sitting on the sidelines hoping that maybe rates will get back to where they were 3-4 years ago.
I will tell you that is the number one question I'm getting right now is when are the rates going to be 3% again? And, you know, I have to basically pull up history. The last time was, 1950s. And so the next time would be 2070s, I guess. That would be my guess, if you want to know.
If you're trying to time the market.
Yeah. You know, and that's a big thing going on right now. I think a lot of people don't realize that this is probably the best market in Austin probably since 2010, for a buyer.
Yeah.
What was it? Redfin, I think CNBC, a couple other places have popped out that Austin is the #1 buyer's market in the country.
Yeah.
But buyers don't seem to realize that. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, the number was like 130% more sellers than there are buyers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more available homes for purchase than there are people out there actively purchasing. And what it means for buyers is they have lots of choices, lots of opportunities to negotiate great deals. Yeah. And they haven't had that in a long time.
You think about 2021. You had to give up your option period. You had to give up your right to an inspection. You had to pay for your own title policy. If the seller didn't want to look for the survey, you had to buy your own survey. I mean, now all of a sudden you can get full 3 or 6% depending on the loan program. You can get a discount on the price. You can have the sellers do pretty much anything you need because sellers need to sell.
Yeah.
And, buyers are missing out on this because in my opinion, they believe that the rates are going to fall another 0.25%. And that under 6 is the number that everybody's thinking. But, a low 6 and a high 5, we're talking $30-40 a month. Yeah. But once it hits that upper 5s, then all of a sudden all the buyers are going to come out. Next thing you know, you can't get sellers.
More competition.
Yeah, more competition. You're going to have multiple offers and things like that. Then you lose that. And you got to think $40 a month is $500 a year. So if you lose $5,000 on your negotiation ability because you waited until the rates were in the upper 5s, it'll take you 10 years to pay that in the savings as far as the difference. It'll take you 10 years to break even on what you lost.
You also have the ability, purchase now, refinance later once those rates do drop. So it's not like you get this 6.375, 6.25 and you're stuck there forever. Like, no, there is that ability to lower that rate later on.
Yeah, I had people refinance 3 times from 2019 to 2023, 3 times because the rates got so much better. Yep. And it was very financially beneficial for them. I wouldn't refinance somebody if it wasn't. So that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing out there that people are doing wrong. As far as, days on market, appreciation, what are you seeing at that?
Home prices are definitely down from where they were in 2022, kind of at the height of the market. So values have dropped a little bit, but they're pretty steady right now. Days on market right now is or in the Austin area, about 50 days on market, but a lot of that balance is thrown off between some homes that are really sitting and some homes that are selling fast. Really, the ones that we see that are selling fast are like cream puffs. They're in great shape, they're priced well, and the demand for those is very strong. I think the other thing that we're seeing from some buyers who are sitting on the sidelines is they think that I want 2019 prices. I want 2018 prices. And we've seen prices come down from where they were a little bit at 2022. But what I really see is going to happen is as interest rates start to come down more, the buyers go in the market, we have more competition for those listings. They're going to be potentially bidding on higher prices versus right now when there's so many options. You can get into a house with a lot of leverage that you're not going to have when rates come down.
Yeah, I think if I remember the numbers from 2022 to 2024, there was an 8%-ish, 8%-ish depreciation. But from what I'm seeing, 2025 is going to be an appreciation year for the greater Austin area. We won't really know, but in September of 25 was the first time and since 23 that we had a year-over-year increase in units. So
It's like about 5%.
yeah, and that's a big jump.
Sales.
Yeah, and that's with rates moving a little. And that's a big deal. I think that's that sign that the market has leveled, and now once it flattens out and hit that second trough, which this was the second trough, it starts to move back up, and that's what I'm seeing as far as historical data. Yeah, and as far as for you, what's the best way if somebody has a home and they obviously need an excellent person to sell it in this market? What's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, so I mean, you can reach us on our website, tjlewisrealestate.com. My number, direct line is 512-636-9707. And really the thing that we try to focus on is not just helping people buy or sell or invest in real estate, but helping people make smart real estate decisions. Sometimes that means that now's not the right time to buy. And we're going to evaluate everything, connect you with strong partners like you guys, tell them know the financials of that. Sometimes the decision is not to sell, but we want our clients to make smart real estate decisions.
Yeah, and that's really important because, unfortunately, when the market is kind of depressed, people in our industry can become hungry, I guess. And when they do that, sometimes they don't make the decisions. And so they don't sometimes always offer the best advice because they're more concentrating on what's going on at the moment. Whereas, like you said, making sure, because, telling somebody it's not a good time right now, that just shows, moral character, in my opinion. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I always cringe a little bit when I hear people say, it's a great time to buy or it's a great time to sell. Yeah. It might be, but for you, we don't know until you look at your situation and figure out all the details.
Well, you develop that client relationship, so the last thing you want to do is set them up for failure. You don't want to get them into an overpriced house or something that's not going to fit their situation.
Yeah, and being success also is a long term. And so, I've always, I try to view my clients as clients for life, and sometimes it's not today. We did just have one where somebody wanted to refinance and then they said they're moving in probably August. And I'm like, well, then no, don't spend money, time and energy to save yourself $800, then have to sell your house and you don't get as much out of your house. So everything is specific to the individual. Exactly. And it is very different, and it's fun, being in sales, they teach you hot buttons and stuff like that, and all those goofy terms and things like that. But really, those are, buying a home is emotional. It just, especially with a young couple, because they're thinking about growing kids and school districts and, all those sort of things. It's a very emotional decision. And so that's where I feel you and we have to make sure that we take the logical stance because they are in a very emotional moment because it is exciting. I can remember my first house, it's a long time ago, but I can remember it and it was very emotional. And I was just very fortunate. I got lucky in timing the market, but that was just luck. I always try to tell people it's not, but it's pure luck.
Did you ride your dinosaur to that?
Yeah, maybe. You're pointing out the gray here. Yeah. And so I think that, like I said, most importantly, the buyers need to understand that it is actually a really good time. And I think there's a lot of miscommunication out there because of that depreciation in 23, 24. I think there's a lot of miscommunication out there. Like that's flat. I mean, we're flat and moving back up, and I worry that clients will wait too long and then they will have to fight for a home. Is my biggest concern of what I see coming around in springtime. And so, I think that now would be the best time for them to look at something. But I think, obviously they would need to contact you. And, what was that? What was your number again?
Yeah, 512-636-9707 is the best way to reach us.
Do you like to text, voicemail? What's important to you?
Text is easy.
Yeah.
Because when we're meeting with clients or out on errands and things like that, we can always respond to a text. But either one's fine.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm still, I just want to call. I'll call you back.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time with that. At some point, I'll get used to it. It's just funny about that.
Well, no, we found that when we're working with our clients, that a lot of times people, especially new generations, they love text. But a lot of people in real estate, because it is an emotional decision, and there's so much that goes into it, they want a phone call. And so we really vary client to client, but a lot of times people want a phone call because it's such an important decision.
And so when you first sit with a buyer, what are some of the things that you want to know or want to explain to them or want to know from them that's very important?
Yeah, so whenever we work with the buyer, the very first thing that we do is we meet with them for a buyer consultation, that we're going to walk through what we call our funnel process. I'm not going to explain all the details of that but it's a process that we use to help make sure that our clients don't overpay for a house, don't buy a bad house, and don't miss out on the house they really want. We give them a buyer's guide, all of that stuff that sets them up for success and shows them the path for them to buy a house.
Yeah, excellent. Especially, so it sounds like if you are a first-time home buyer or maybe a second-time home buyer, Kyle would be your man. It's what it sounds like to me. So, one last time, Kyle, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, 512-636-9707.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching the Home Team 512. This segment has been sponsored by Security National Mortgage, where they turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. The best way to reach out to them is 855-299-HOME. Also, you can reach out to them through me at loansfromtroy.com. Now, what's about to happen after this part right here is we are going to show you a group of our featured listings, okay? And on our featured listings, there'll be a QR code. And if you are interested in that home and you hop on that QR code and look at that, we, as in Security National, loansfromtroy.com, we will actually, your first year, we will take care of 1% of your interest rate. So let's say the first starting rate is 6.25. So for the first year, you'd only be at 5.25 if you do purchase one of these featured listings that are coming up. It'll also it'll have, the real estate experts information and contact information. Reach out to them as well. It's going to show you everything that's going on in the local market, and it'll also show you the houses and things like that. So just reach out to us. It's pretty cool. And I do look forward to seeing you in just a minute where we talk about money. Welcome back, Austin, Texas, to the Home Team 512 with Troy and Colton, where we bring real estate and money together for your education and entertainment. This segment is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. If you want to reach out to them, it's 855-299-HOME or loansfromtroy.com. In this segment, of course, thank you for sticking around. Kyle, our superstar real estate agent, is going to stick around for our money segment and give us a little bit of advice, maybe, hopefully, or at least tell us where he thinks we might be wrong. As we talk about money, and this, money, we've talked about this many times. Money is important to me because I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, okay? It's obvious. But that was really kind of when 401ks were first introduced, credit cards were really become popular, and our parents had no idea how to do it, how to manage it, what was important, why it was important. They never saw what the end looks like. And now today, I think the 401k is the biggest. They do, 2 or 3 steps if you're self-employed. Or 403 steps, sorry. They do the biggest thing, the beginning. The earlier you start, the less you have to do. And it's amazing to me. I have, and if you want, you can reach out to me. I'll give you the exact numbers, but the difference between starting at, 23, 27, 35, 45 is at 45, you're looking at, you have to invest thousands of dollars. At 23, you have to invest 150, $200 a month. And the results are the same, because of what's called compound interest, right? And that is, people just don't understand how important that is, because the best book I ever read explained it to me is just take a penny and double it every day, right? By the end of the month, you have thousands and thousands, I don't remember the number, but it's thousands of dollars just by doubling a penny every day. Because it's 1 cent, 2 cent, 4 cent, 8 cents, 16 cent. And then the next thing you know, it's dollars and it's hundreds. And that's the best way to describe how compound interest works. And so, what I unfortunately got started late, but I'm very frugal, so it was easy for me to catch up.
Powdered Gatorade's great.
Powder Gatorade, that's right.
Yeah.
Last time we discussed, controlling expenses, a budget, things like that, but you have to always put in there, my belief is that 10% of your net income has to go to retirement, 10% of your net income has to go to, investing, every month, no matter what. And so I've been in the core coaching program for, 5.5 years now. Rick Ruby is the main coach. He loves to let you know that he didn't graduate high school, had to get a GED, never had a real job, started selling furniture, and he's worth over $100 million. And it's all because of his very simple save 20% and work your butt off. Keep your expenses under control, work really hard, and save 20%. That's pretty much his entire plan. That's it. It's nothing more than that. He has created a wealth book, which goes over the basics. There's his little letter and stuff. I have to give him credit because this is all his plan. He calls it the hand of wealth and things like that. Tells you what's important and goes over all that. If you are interested in that, just go over there to the QR code. Go on, pop your information, and we will email you a digital copy of the wealth book. No problem at all. As far as for that, but his basic plan is you buy stocks that you're comfortable with, right? He drives Fords. He has Ford stock, things like that. His wife, I forgot where his wife shops at a certain place, so he buys that stock, things that are good. He loves to drink, Cokes, so he has, Coca-Cola stock. So he says, 4 or 5 stocks, not a lot, and that's half. And then the other half goes into what's called an index fund. An index fund, they're basically, it takes a conglomerate of the S&P or the Dow Jones. It takes like whatever's in there, and then it matches that. So, the S&P 500 has that the mutual fund has, a portion of those 500 stocks, and then it just matches it. So as the S&P goes up or down, those stocks go up and down because that's what it's based on. And so, and historically, the S&P has an 11% gain. Historically,
It was time it started to.
Oh yeah. It's just 11%. So some years it's up 20, some years it's down. But if you just dollar cost average, in other words, you put that X amount of dollars into that account every single month at the exact same time, every month, over and over, no matter what the market's doing, then you will get that 11%. And so, if you don't know the rule of 7, have you ever heard of the rule of 7?
I've heard of it. I don't know it well.
So theoretically, the rule of 7 is at 7%, your money doubles every 7 years, right? So if it's at 11%, your money should be doubling before that, But what happens, and I equate it to working out, right? Because the first couple of months, you don't really see any difference. You feel different after the first month, but you don't see the difference, for about 2, 3, maybe 4 months, just to kind of depending on how, the program. And so people invest in that. In the first 2 or 3 years, they don't see a lot of growth, right? Because the money hasn't really started compounding yet. But then after you get into about 5, 6, 7 years, all of a sudden the growth just starts happening. And most people don't wait for the growth. I've got a 22-year-old son.
I was just about to bring him up.
He is just driving me nuts, So I'm like, I finally got him to open an account, but I can't get him to dollar cost average. I'm like, dude, you just put $100 in there. He's like, but. And I'm like, no, you just don't go out one night a month and invest for the rest of your life.
Yep.
I think that's super important. I mean, do you have any,
No, it just sounds like a lot of things in life. It's simple, but not easy.
right.
Working out, eating right, investing, saving, spending. It's simple, but it's just like it's not easy to make those small decisions.
Well, it's also kind of like kind of the obvious things that are going to benefit you in life in general, the working out, the eating healthy, the investing. Like you said, it's super simple, but super hard all at the same time. Like it's silly almost.
And
but
if you don't see results immediately, which makes it hard.
Yeah, you do.
it requires a discipline.
It takes years. I mean, we sat down 4 years ago,
Yeah,
and you're just now like, oh my gosh,
there it is.
and it's happening.
Yeah.
But most people don't do the 4 years. They look at it in 6, 8 months, the market dips and they freak out and they pull their money out, and then they're like, they lost. Like just what happened in April, right? I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and for like 5 days in a row, my wife would come home. We need to sell, honey. We need to sell. And I'm like, no, we're waiting for the right time
We get all in.
to buy more. And she looks at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And what was happening, she'd go to work and she would hear the people at the office talk about how bad the stock market was and how they were losing money and how they were selling and all that stuff. And so that's the general thought process. 2022, the S&P, Dow Jones, everything lost like 25% from the beginning to the end. And I invested more money in 2022 than I think I've invested in forever. And, now all of a sudden it's almost doubled, just because of that. And so,
Kind of understanding the trend of it.
yes.
Like just because it's going down doesn't mean it's going to always go down. Like it's going to come back. It always does.
And, you were asking me, and I said, well, the simplest thing to do is take any time in history except 2008, and 2009. But take any time in history and just do a 5-year look back. And the line is always going up. If you take a 5-year look back of any index, the line's always going up. Now it goes like this.
But the general trend, if you draw
the
that line.
trend line is always up. Sometimes it's 5%, sometimes it's 20%, sometimes it's, but it always averages out to 11%. Yeah.
I think that one of the great things about and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the great things about the index fund is that like your wife talks about the conversations she has at work, and people are like, this stock is up or down. You remove the sensational news because you're just investing in the conglomerate, like you said.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the whole fund, The Dow Jones is a big one. The S&P is the one that's just the easiest. QQQ is an S&P index fund. You see that on TV, the IVV. There's several of them. We're not advertising for any specific fund or anything like that. This is a general concept. Please get with your money person. But I will tell you, it works. It works. It works. I equate it, like I said, to the gym. All exercise programs work. All diet programs work if you do the work, and it's really hard today because everything that we see now, especially in social media, is geared for us to spend money. Everything. Do you know how hard it is to scroll through, like your Instagram because you want to see your friends, and then all of a sudden, because they're really good. Because everything I see on my Instagram feed is things I want to buy. Every single thing. And it's hard. And so the personal self-discipline not to shop now is tough. So budgeting is what we talked about that last week, but budgeting is important. Give yourself, X amount of dollars, whatever your income is, $50, $100, $200, $300, $400 to shop. So you feel that void. But it is like with anything else. It's like with anything else. If you too much is really bad for you. So put it in your budget. Stay within your budget. If you don't have a budget, you don't know where to stop.
Rice is good for you.
Yeah.
You eat 4 bowls of it. It's not great for you.
It's very bloating.
Yes.
And that's with everything in life, And so if you don't have a cap or a goal or a mindset that has that finite capture of it, then you will eventually. It's human nature to indulge in whatever. I mean, anything that makes you feel good, you're going to do too much of it. And so, one of the things that worked for me was in the savings program that my coach put me on. And I mean, he looks at my budget every month. He yells at me when I'm not in budget.
They're brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, they let you know when you're not doing it right.
He yells at me when I'm not in budget. He yells at me when I don't save, and I mean yells at me when I don't save enough. So those are really important things. The budget is the most important thing, and once you get your budget under control, then investing. Get yourself out of debt, then invest. Real estate is an excellent investment. Okay, but once you have your home, maybe a rental home, you have no debt, then you start moving into investing. And it is scary. So that's why I suggest, index funds and things like that, because they're not scary. They're markets, and the market is time proven. I mean, it's been around since like 1903 or something. So it's time proven. So, hey, I hope that you learned a little bit about something. If you want to reach out to me, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me at 855-299-HOME, or you can reach out to me, of course, at the QR code, which is kind of the new thing. COVID saved the QR code, that is for sure. That thing was dying. But definitely reach out to me on the QR code. Also, this segment has been brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. And what's about to come up, it's really important, I think, that you take a look at. It is going to be our featured listings. So these are all local area listings here in Austin that are up. They're great homes. They're priced right. They have excellent realtors on there. If you do decide to purchase one of those things, there's a QR code on there. You click on that, and you come to us through that. We at Security National will take care of the first year of your interest rate. We will give you 1% off. So if the interest rate starts out at 6.25%, for the first year at no cost to you would be 5.25%. So that's if you purchase one of our listings. Now,
Great benefit.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's a couple $1,000s you can use to invest. But yeah, when you see that, it'll also have real estate's information on there. Give them a call as well, and just let them know that the Home Team 512 sent you there. Hey, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next week.